Good morning, guys. All right, so I'm just waking up this morning to get ready to go to work, and I like to adjust my market levels on the instruments I'm trading or investing in every morning to just see what price movement has done. So what we're going to do is go into our pre-market this morning. It's currently around 6:40, April 9th, 2026. So basically the pre-market low and high from yesterday. These were notated here in this peachy area. And so this is this morning. So what I would do, excuse me, is adjust these levels and drop down this pre-market low to here, the pre-market high to here. AMD has dropped down a little bit since yesterday, in spite of the news with Israel, I guess, violating the ceasefire and deciding to attack Lebanon yesterday. The markets do not seem to be responding to that news or the threat of the ceasefire now being in jeopardy. So the markets are not really responding to the news of that recent event. So that's kind of what I wanted to see how they're now. Who knows now when the market opens up at 9:30, the retail investors may feel differently, and you may notice today that their stocks may drop. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do. So Meta from yesterday is trading a little bit higher than it was the day before. So let's bring these levels here. Actually, that's a little bit off. And I don't trade every day. These are mostly investments that I watch. And sometimes if a buy opportunity comes where a stock gets smacked down for some reason, I may add a fraction share or a little bit to the position at the lower price. But I do track it every day. I kind of like to know what they're doing. And I have other strategies that I use that we'll talk in some of the other sessions down the road. Just that a little bit better. That's SoFi. So SoFi is trading a little lower than yesterday, and that's all it tells me is how it's trading from yesterday's pre-market to today's pre-market. Now, you will see here Celsius is slightly lower, where these are 50-cent increments in price. But you will also, let's talk about this one for about a second here. All right, let me do this pre-market here, right here. You can see that this level that has this purple level with the H on it, that is last week's, the highest price last week's candle reached. I notate those on the weekend, which I'll do a class or session with that with you so you can see me doing it, and we'll talk about it then. But usually at the end of the trading week, I will go in and notate price action for the entire week, and I will notate a high and a low. And so that gives me guidance for the next week. So if price is moving, I can see how it moves in relationship to how last week's price action went. So that just gives me another level of things are going more in an upward trend, or things are going more in a downward to the downside. So what this tells me is that now, based on the highest point price reached last week, which is notated at $35.88 here, this week's candles have now risen above that level, have closed above that level, and if price continues to keep above this level here, this will tell me that Celsius Holdings is trading higher than it was last week. Now, will it come back and retest that level? It could. Or is it going to keep going up? It could. We don't know that, and we don't predict the market. What we do is notate how it's moving and what it's showing us. And we're observing how the price reacts in these areas to give us some indication of what it seems like it could be doing. We're just stacking layers of probability at this point, so we understand where price is going. Because price moves, we don't always move on it. I don't always buy on it or sell on it. My positions pretty much are, like I said, I mainly invest with some trading. But this is something I do every day, so I wanted to share it with you. If you have companies you're looking at, you can certainly go into your watch list and add some companies. Prospects here. These are companies, I mentioned these yesterday. These are companies I kind of low-key am looking at for one reason or another, and I don't want them clouding up my main watch list over here. But if there's like, I'm looking at Elf. So let's open up Elf real quick. Actually, you know what? I want to put it on Renee's Rain. So instead of doing it that way, we're going to just duplicate the tab. Now it's just going to duplicate one of my existing tabs, and then what I typically will do is add the company I'm looking at. So let's say we want to, I'm keeping an eye on Elf as a diversification option so that all my stuff is not so tech heavy. So I will probably, now I saved my drawing so I didn't have to redo. Oh, I got 2 sets of these. All right, let me knock that one out and that one out. And I'm going to adjust this pre-market and this pre-market. So Elf went up a little bit since the last time I adjusted these levels. But you can also see, this was yesterday. Elf has also come down some too. So that's how you could do that. If there's put a company in your watch list and create a chart for it so you can keep an eye on it and then start practicing watching the levels. And then this extra box here, I don't need 2 Celsius. I just put XXX. That just tells me this is a chart, or I can just switch it to 1. And we just switch it to 1. But if you have the paid version where you can have 2 open windows or charts on 1 tab, that's one of the features I use for the paid version. But when I mentioned TradingView earlier, TradingView is free, and you can do anything you really need to do realistically on the free version if you don't mind watching the ads. And if at some point you want to do trading more, or you want to get into more, you want to use some of the more advanced features, the only thing you cannot do with the free version other than have multiple tabs or multiple charts on 1 tab is use bar replay, which that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, and I gotta get ready to go to work. So if you really want me to talk about bar replay, just put something in the comments and I'll do a whole separate thing on bar replay so you can determine on whether it's something that you want for you. So that's going to wrap up today. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.